Bonjour tout le monde. Avez-vous vu le neige? Les flacons qui sont en train de tomber. Et pas d'énoncer d'automne encore. Madame Freeland a été demandée, c'est où l'énoncé? Elle dit, oh, je vais le livrer avant la fin de l'année. Normalement, c'est en automne. Normalement, les gouvernements ont hâte de présenter un énoncé économique parce que c'est une occasion d'avoir la publicité sur leur politique et leurs décisions. Et Mme Freeland, elle a peur. Elle a peur de la vérité, que son patron, M. Trudeau, a perdu le contrôle des dépenses, le déficit, l'inflation et l'économie. Justin Trudeau, un chef très faible, a perdu le contrôle de tout. Après 9 ans, il a perdu le contrôle des frontières, perdu le contrôle de l'immigration, perdu le contrôle de la criminalité et des drogues, perdu le contrôle de son cabinet avec une ministre des Affaires étrangères qui a lancé sa campagne pour devenir Premier ministre dans le New York Times. Et les Canadiens vivent les conséquences d'un Premier ministre faible et hors de contrôle. Regardons, 2 millions de Canadiens, un record, doivent aller aux banques alimentaires chaque mois. Le coût de logement a doublé à travers le Canada et triplé à Montréal. Maintenant, 80% des Canadiens croient que l'accès à la propriété est juste pour les très, très riches et non pas pour la classe moyenne. On ne parle plus de la classe moyenne. Souvenez-vous que Justin Trudeau a dit que la classe moyenne allait être plus prospère s'il gagnait des élections. Mais 9 ans plus tard, la classe moyenne doit aller aux banques alimentaires juste pour manger. Le coût de nourriture a augmenté 37% plus rapidement ici au Canada qu'aux États-Unis depuis la COVID. Donc, on ne peut pas blâmer des effets des phénomènes internationaux si les Américains peuvent manger de façon plus abordable que les Canadiens. Après 9 ans de Justin Trudeau, on a vu que la bureaucratie a augmenté de 110 000 fonctionnaires, c'est-à-dire 50% plus de coûts pour la bureaucratie. Une augmentation de 100% dans le nombre de consultants qu'on engage. On parle de 21 milliards de dollars par année pour des consultants. C'est 1 400 dollars pour chaque famille québécoise en impôts et taxes juste pour financer des consultants. Et pour faire quoi? Pour livrer la corruption. En passant, le Bloc a voté pour toutes les dépenses sur les consultants et les bureaucrates que Justin Trudeau a mis devant la Chambre des communes dans les crédits budgétaires. Le Bloc a voté 188 fois pour garder Justin Trudeau au pouvoir, a voté pour 500 milliards de dollars de dépenses inflationnistes, bureaucratiques et centralisatrices. C'est l'argent des Québécois qu'on enlève de leurs mains. Et maintenant, on est dans le pire rapport de force-faiblesse avec les Américains dans notre histoire. L'écart entre PIB par capita aux États-Unis et au Canada est le pire que depuis au moins la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Considérons-le, ça. Il y a 9 ans, New York Times a dit que la classe moyenne du Canada était plus riche que la classe moyenne des Américains et que le revenu moyen des Canadiens était égal aux Américains. 9 ans plus tard, après les hausses de taxes, d'impôts, de bureaucratie et de dettes ici au Canada, les Américains gagnent 30 000 $ plus par personne que les Canadiens. Ça, c'est l'effet de Justin Trudeau, dont toutes les politiques économiques sont appuyées par le Bloc. Et on a perdu 500 milliards de dollars d'investissement net qui a quitté notre pays pour financer des projets d'infrastructures, d'affaires, de technologie aux États-Unis. C'est l'argent des Canadiens qui a quitté notre pays pour aller aux États-Unis, où l'économie est en train de grandir, lorsque notre PIB par capita est en baisse pour le 6e trimestre consécutif. Donc, ce ne serait pas réaliste de demander que Mme Freeland et M. Trudeau améliorent les choses. Ce ne serait pas réaliste de leur demander de faire quelque chose de bon pour les Canadiens dans les dossiers économiques. Tout ce qu'ils font fait mal. Tout ce qu'ils font augmente les coûts et tue des emplois. Donc, j'ai une seule demande à Justin Trudeau et Chrystia Freeland. Arrêtez. S'il vous plaît, arrêtez. Arrêtez des hausses de taxes qui tuent des emplois. Arrêtez des hausses d'impôts qui fait fuir de l'investissement vers les États-Unis. Arrêtez des dépenses inflationnistes qui ont gonflé le prix de nourriture et arrêtez d'ajouter des dettes dangereuses sur le dos des Canadiens. Arrêtez, s'il vous plaît. C'est ma seule demande pour l'énoncé économique. Arrêtez jusqu'au moment qu'on puisse avoir une élection pour permettre aux Québécois l'occasion de choisir un premier ministre qui va mettre le Canada d'abord, avec un plan de gros bon sens qui va rapidement accélérer l'approbation des grands projets, éliminer la paperasse et les taxes pour nos entreprises afin de créer des emplois, couper le gaspillage, la bureaucratie et plafonner les dépenses pour éliminer les déficits inflationnistes et renforcer nos finances. Un premier ministre qui est fort et qui est intelligent et qui est capable de défendre notre pays et mettre les Canadiens d'abord. Un premier ministre qui va couper les taxes et impôts pour récompenser le travail et rendre la vie abordable, qui va réparer le budget avec une discipline financière, qui va éliminer les taxes sur les nouvelles maisons, enlevant le TPS pour vous sauver juste à 50 000 $ et qui va stopper les crimes avec des peines plus sévères, une frontière renforcée et en bannissant les drogues dures. C'est ce qu'il faut. C'est ça le gros bon sens. C'est ça, mettre le Canada d'abord. Thank you very much. And now in English. I hope everyone's enjoying the snow. Those big, fluffy snowflakes are falling from the sky. And we still don't have a fall economic update. It's almost Christmas time. Chrystia Freeland told you that she would have one by the end of the year, after the Prime Minister's office had told you that one was coming early next week. I actually made an offer to the Prime Minister and Ms. Freeland that I would give up some of Conservative opposition motion time on Monday, tomorrow, to let them introduce their fall update. An unprecedented act of nonpartisan generosity. I was shocked to see them turn it down. They claimed that they wanted to introduce such a fall update and that it was just those mean Conservatives that were blocking them from doing it. So I cleared the way. 2 hours. They could have introduced it. But they said no. Bizarre. Normally, governments love to introduce fall updates because they are gigantic opportunities to advertise all the good things the government is doing for the finances of the country and the pocketbooks of the people. Now, that is, if you're not doing any good things, then you probably don't want anybody to know about it. And that is, in fact, the case of this government. The reality is that Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau have lost control of the finances. Justin Trudeau is a weak prime minister. He's lost control of the borders, lost control of immigration, lost control of spending, lost control of the debt, lost control of inflation, lost control of housing costs, lost control of crime, lost control of drugs. He's lost control of his own cabinet, with his foreign minister launching her leadership campaign on the front page of the New York Times with a big, beautiful photo shoot that she would have gone into a studio to have done, and a screaming headline describing her as a potential successor. He has totally lost control, and now he doesn't want Canadians to see the disastrous state of our books. Remember, he promised, she promised, the deficit would not exceed $40 billion. And now they won't tell us what the deficit is. There are real consequences for these costly failures. After 9 years of Trudeau, everything costs more, with food prices having risen 37% faster in Canada than they did in the United States during the exact same time period. That gap coincides with the coming into force of the carbon tax on the farmers and truckers who bring us our food, a tax he now wants to quadruple to 61 cents a litre. This is a prime minister who's doubled our housing costs. So now 80% of Canadians believe, for the first time in Canadian history, that homeownership is only for the very rich. Last week, OECD said that Vancouver and Toronto are now by far the most expensive housing markets in North America. We have the highest housing costs and the lowest incomes. Look at comparison. Seattle's housing costs are about 30% lower than Vancouver's, even though Seattle workers make far more money than Vancouverites make. Housing costs in Toronto are significantly higher than Chicago, even though Chicago workers make more than Torontonians. The two worst housing costs. How is it possible that we have 10 times as much land per capita as the Americans, that our housing costs more than theirs? That's because of 9 years of Justin Trudeau's out of control inflationary money printing and immigration, and his financing of local bureaucracies that block home building. And not only do we have expensive homes, we have more homeless people. 38% more chronic homelessness. 1,400 homeless encampments in Ontario after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. 35 homeless encampments in Halifax after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. 2 million people line up at food banks. A quarter of our kids are going to school hungry, and a quarter of parents are skipping meals so their kids don't have to. Those same parents toss and turn at night because they are the most indebted households in the G7. By far, it's not even close. And then our own debt, our national debt, has doubled. Trudeau and the NDP Liberals have added more debt than all prior prime ministers combined. And now they won't even tell us how big the debt or the deficit is. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder now spill into our once safe streets, with rampant repeat offenders out killing, maiming, raping, and decimating our communities, our once safe and tranquil communities. Hate crimes are up 256%, with church burnings, fire bombings of synagogues, and attacks on other places of worship now out of control. With all this damage, with everything that Justin Trudeau and the NDP Liberals have done to make life more costly and dangerous, it would be unrealistic for me to ask them to improve the situation in their upcoming fall economic update. So, I have a more realistic request. Actually, it's more of a plea. Stop. Just stop. Stop adding inflationary spending that balloons the cost of living. Stop your carbon tax hikes. Stop taxing home purchases. Stop adding dangerous and irresponsible debt that threatens our social programs. Everything you're doing, Justin Trudeau, just stop doing it in this fall update until common sense conservatives can start fixing everything you broke. There will be a carbon tax election. And in that election, there will be a very simple choice. Either we go ahead with quadrupling the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre, driving hundreds of billions of dollars and millions of jobs to America and driving our people to starvation, or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax. That's why it's a carbon tax election. 61 cent a litre carbon tax with the NDP Liberals, zero carbon tax with the Conservatives. The choice again, an NDP Liberal government who will tax your food, punish your work, double your housing cost, and unleash crime in your community, or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Our common sense conservatives will take the GST off new homes to save you up to 50 grand on a purchase and stimulate an extra 50,000 apartment and housing builds every single year. We will cap spending, cut bureaucracy and waste to fix the budget. We will stop the crime by locking up violent repeat offenders, securing our borders, and banning hard drugs. In essence, we will bring home Canada's promise, a very simple promise, that hard work earns you a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods in the freest country on earth, Canada. Let's bring it home.
Let's go, Pierre.
Thank you. We'll now take questions from the floor.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre. JP Tasker from CBC News. In an interview this morning, Donald Trump again floated the idea of Canada becoming the 51st state of the United States. Are you concerned that the president-elect repeatedly brings up this idea of annexing our country?
Well, the bottom line is that that Justin Trudeau is a weak leader.
Yes, he is.
And he gains no respect from countries all around the world.
Nobody likes him.
Canada should have a strong, smart leader with the brains and backbone to put our country first.
Yes, we do.
And that's what I will do. We will have common sense conservatives will put Canada first. We will remove the crippling taxes and debt that have weakened our country under Trudeau. We will unleash the production of our resources to make ourselves more economically independent. We will rebuild our military.
Yes.
And secure our borders.
Yes.
And we will go into negotiations with our American friends in a position of strength rather than weakness. Canada will be independent, strong, and proud, and our flag, the maple leaf, will fly proudly again over our country.
Yes, it will. Freaking right, it will.
Évidemment, Justin Trudeau est un chef faible qui a perdu le contrôle. Il n'a pas le respect des autres chefs mondiaux. Il est un chef qui a perdu le contrôle de nos frontières, de notre immigration, de nos dépenses, des déficits. Et c'est comme ça qu'on est dans une position de faiblesse. On a besoin d'un chef qui est fort, que les autres chefs mondiaux prennent au sérieux. Un chef qui va mettre le Canada d'abord. Le Canada sera plus indépendant, plus fort et plus prospère quand je serai Premier ministre. On va éliminer les taxes et les déficits qui poussent notre investissement vers les Américains. On va renforcer nos frontières et notre militaire pour que notre pays soit fort encore. Et nous allons pouvoir négocier avec tous les autres chefs mondiaux dans un rapport de force. C'est ça qu'on va faire, c'est ça, mettre le Canada d'abord.
Thank you. Next question.
Morning, Colton Prale, CTV. Last night, your MP, Jamil Jivani, posted about a great conversation he had with the U.S. Vice President-elect. Did he advocate against the imposition of U.S. tariffs? And who are you reaching out to in the incoming Trump administration to do the same?
I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't have an answer to that question. Haven't.
Thank you. Next question.
Just on the point of Mr. Mackenzie here from Global News, just on the point about Mr. Giovanni's meeting with J.D. Vance, you didn't instruct him at all to bring up the idea of that 25% tariffs are bad. You'd said previously that you'd tell any American that you or conservatives would speak with that they would be a bad idea.
Every single conservative would tell every single American that a tariff on Canada is a bad idea. We need to put Canada first, and that's what we will do. We will fight these tariffs from a position of strength. We will unleash the production of our resources. We will cut taxes on our workers, our businesses, to bring home more production to this country. We will stand shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in uniform by rebuilding our forces, and we will reinforce our border, all of which will put Canada in a position of strength and reverse the weakness that Justin Trudeau has brought to our country after 9 years of weak leadership. So every conservative tells every American that tariffs on our country are a bad idea, and when I'm Prime Minister, we will have a strong Canada First policy in order to fight those tariffs and to fight for Canadians.
Thank you. This will be the final question.
Jim Broadskill, the Canadian Press. Good morning. Do you have any thoughts on the fall of the Assad regime in Syria and anything that Canada could or should do to help restore stability to the region?
Well, first of all, Assad was a puppet for the tyrants of Tehran. He has carried out genocides against the Sunni people in his own country. And now he appears to have been toppled. We don't know who will replace him, but I don't think we should get involved in that mess. It's not our fight.
It's not our
We should
problem.
stand with
I
our
agree.
allies,
Not our problem.
including Israel, against the terrorists. And we should focus on protecting our own country.
Yep.
Because after 9 years of Trudeau, we've never been so vulnerable and so at risk. He lost control of our borders, lost control of our spending, lost control of our security, lost control of crime. He's allowed terrorists to come into our country even after they've been videotaped mutilating human beings in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. And what we need now is a strong leader who will put Canada first. My only concern is Canada. We need, for a change, a Prime Minister who will put this country and its people first, and that's what I will do. Thank you.
Nice. Bring it home.